We do want to get you up to speed on what's gone on as far as the trade deadline goes. And I guess we're going to start right here. Our insider, David Aldridge, is here. We'll start with Antoine Jameson going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And there's been certainly a lot of talk about Amari Stoudemire possibly winding up there. How did this all play out?
Well, this was always kind of 1A for Cleveland. You know, if they wanted Stoudemire, but they just didn't really like enough of what Cleveland was offering J.J. Hickson and Ilgauskas and a pick. They wanted more, and they never could get more, whether it was with Phoenix or with a third team. So they decided to move to this, which was always kind of in their back pocket. They wanted Jameson. The Wizards were holding out for Hickson, but at the end of the day, the Wizards thought, hey, we're rebuilding. This thing is over now. The opportunity to get cap relief and tax relief was just too much for them to say no to.
What's a better fit? I mean, is this a better fit, Jameson, than Stoudemire is on this team?
He's not a better player than Amari Stoudemire, but I think it's a better fit because they still got to keep Hickson. I love Hickson. I have no idea what the Suns were thinking. If you can get Hickson and cap release with Ilgauskas, it would have been a better deal. But this is a really good deal. And for the first time this year, the Cleveland Cavaliers, I'm going to put them ahead of the Orlando Magic in the East.
So it took this move.
It did, because I still think they had the same problem going into the playoffs. Those guys trying to guard Rashard Lewis. Those guys trying to guard Vince Carter. Shaq trying to guard Dwight Howard. I still liked Orlando, but this puts, in my opinion, this puts Cleveland over the hump in the East.
What do you think, Jeff?
Well, what made this trade go through was Al Thornton going to the Wizards. I mean, because they wanted a young piece to go with that and a pick, but they got both of it. So when the Wizards got both what they needed, a pick and a young player in Al Thornton, they said they were going to move Jameson. To me, this move was made last year in the playoffs when Orlando beat Cleveland, because Cleveland had nobody to match up on Rashard Lewis, and not only to match up with them, but to go at him on the offensive end. The way you take a good offensive player out of his rhythm, Rashard Lewis as a shooter, is you make him play defense. You go at him, and Antoine Jameson will press the envelope on the defensive end and make him play defense. Make a guy like a Lewis play defense.
Let's hear what Antoine Jameson has to say about the deal to Cleveland.
I've never won a championship, whether it was college, high school, and so far in my career. So, I've been to All-Star games. I've experienced a lot of things. So there's only one thing left for me to achieve. It's the one thing that keeps me going. It's the one thing that drives me night in and night out. And, I said to myself, it's going to happen before I retire.
He is going to turn 34 in June, 12th NBA season. How about the Zydrunas Ilgauskas part of this equation?
Well, the Wizards will buy him out. It's just a matter of when and for how much. But they don't need to. They don't need to do it for the tax situation now. They are under the tax now. This is not going to affect that one way or the other. So they'll buy him out. And then, hey, he's going to have suitors. Dallas needs a big man now that Dampier's out. Atlanta's always been looking for one more big. Denver's been desperate for a big.
But his heart is in Cleveland.
That's the issue. That's what they're counting on, is the loyalty that he feels toward the Cavaliers.
The thing I like is that
they got loyalty to him as they shipped him out of town.
The thing I like is that Dallas came out right away and said, hey, if they buy him out, we want him. And nothing like the top teams all fighting over guys and letting it be known they want him.
It's two things that really drives me nuts. When they trade a guy, they say, we love this guy, but they trade you. And then there's other thing, I think I heard it with Ray Allen, and I heard it with Amari and Phoenix, where these teams says, we're not trying to trade you, but we're going to listen to offers. I'm like, what the hell does that mean?
That means they're trying to trade you.
I feel a lot better now. Meantime, the Boston Celtics, I don't know if this is final yet, the Nate Robinson situation. It's done? Okay. So they put him in Boston. Eddie House out, part of one of the keys to that championship run of a couple of years ago. What do you make of this?
Well, I think what Boston's looking at is they wanted a little bit more pop coming off the bench. They thought that Eddie House, while still a good player, maybe not quite as good as he was a couple of years ago. Nate Robinson, a younger guy, more injured. Remember last year they brought in Stephon Marbury right at the end to try to give him a little bit of a burst. It didn't really work out, but they feel like Nate Robinson's a guy, and this is why, because he can get to the basket. This is something Eddie House can't really do and doesn't really do. He's more of a spot-up guy, but they feel like Nate Robinson with that second unit can push tempo and get to the rim, get them some easy baskets. They're working so hard to get baskets. They don't get anything easy.
They had become too much of a jump shooting team, and everybody was just shooting jumpers, and Danny really wanted to get someone to break the defense down and get in the paint. And I said the story of this trade is that Eddie House went from the penthouse to the outhouse. And so there's a lot of house going on.
You can say the same thing about Antoine James. You know what? I think it's a good trade for the Celtics. Nate Robinson, to me, is one of the more underrated players in this league. He brings great enthusiasm. He brings great energy to the table every single night. And the Celtics, you know what? We keep saying when they get healthy, this will help. I don't know. They're, to me, still the third best team in the East. But they didn't give up a lot to get him.
Mm-hmm. Okay, how about Tracy McGrady? Has wound up in New York now. Finally, in a 3-team deal. Yeah,
I mean, this obviously was, Sacramento kind of came in and really rescued this thing, I think it's fair to say. And look at what Houston came up with here. I mean, Carl Landry's a good player, and they didn't want to give him up, and he'll help Sacramento. But the Rockets get Kevin Martin, who's a scorer, flat-out scorer. They get Jordan Hill, the 8th pick in this draft. They get Jared Jeffries, who's a very underrated defensive player. They get 2 draft picks from the Knicks, and they get cap relief. And tax relief. I think it's a great move for Houston, a team that had to rebuild. They turned their one real good asset in Tracy McGrady into a lot of different pieces.
Kevin Martin reunited with Rick Adelman now in Houston.
No question. I think it's always good when you go to a coach that's coached you already. Mm-hmm. Adelman knows what he can and can't do, and he was saying, "Hey, we want Kevin Martin." And I think as Kevin Martin goes there, it gives you a sense of comfort knowing I've played for the guy. And just to talk about that money just for a minute, DA, I figured it all out today. They saved about $14 million total overall, being over the luxury tax and salary reduction and everything. And they got a chance to flip-flop with picks with New York. I mean, if New York doesn't sign people next summer, that flip-flop pick could be a top 3 pick in the draft.
Yeah, they have a great chance to
New York,
go quickly.
Yeah, New York positioning themselves, obviously, for the potential bonanza of this coming summer, Charles.
Well, a bunch of those teams are doing it. I actually think the big winner today was Amari Stoudemire because he is in the catbird seat right now. If I were him and his agent, I'd opt out of my contract and sit back next summer because all these teams can't get the free agents. The way I got them ranked are LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. I think Amari's the 4th guy. One of these teams is going to have to overpay to get him, or he's going to have his choice to go to a winner, which is even more important. The Phoenix Suns really screwed this thing up. Amari Stoudemire, if I were him and his agent, I'd say, you know what, we're not going to stay here. We're not going to win. I'm going to get more money on the open market. He's going to be able to sign with any team he wants to, more than likely. But also, he can go to a winner. Mm-hmm. Because, listen, all these teams can't get LeBron James.
and how all this plays out today, what impact does it have on LeBron? What do you surmise?
Zero has effect on LeBron. Because LeBron in the catbird seat. Yeah. LeBron is a free agent. He can go anywhere he wants to. I personally hope he stays in Cleveland. Cleveland probably can sign another guy also. But if LeBron go to the Knicks, he's going to be able to get anybody to go with him he wants to.
Mm-hmm. That's the whole plan.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get anybody he wants to go with him. Yeah. And that was the Cavaliers are going to need somebody. This is what I'm talking about, Amari Stoudemire. He's going to be able to sit back and say, you know what, Cleveland going to need somebody. New Jersey going to need somebody. Miami going to need somebody. Chicago going to need somebody. So I thought today the big winner was the Cavaliers were getting this man right here, Antoine Jameson. But the second biggest winner was Amari Stoudemire. He's in the catbird seat next summer.